All right, let's move to our next speaker. I see him in the background. There he is, Tiago Reis Marques. Let's go and get his company up on the screen there. And there we go, Pasithea Therapeutics. Tiago, how are we doing today?
I'm very good, thank you.
All right, let's go ahead. Yeah, we have the slides up on the screen. I'm going to go backstage, and I'm going to give you the floor, sir.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tiago Reis Marques, and I'm the CEO of Pasithea Therapeutics. I'm also a psychiatrist and a professor at King's College, and I've dedicated the past 20 years of my life doing research and treating patients with mental health disorders. And it's always been my life goal to create a better future for patients suffering from this disease. And having said this, I thank everyone for joining us today as I introduce you to our new company and a great investment opportunity as well. So let me just start by introducing Pasithea. Pasithea is in Greek mythology the female god of altered states of conscious. At Pasithea Therapeutics, we are targeting the thought disorders commonly associated with mental health disorders. And we are aiming to be a biotech company at the forefront of research. And we want to tackle one of the world's largest and most concerning clinical problems, that is mental health. And to accomplish this, we have created this complementary two-pronged business model with a single goal of improving the treatments and outcomes in a safe and effective way. So our primary focus is on drug development. Our scientific team is developing new medications to provide better results for brain disorders. And as a secondary focus, we are providing ketamine infusions to treat mental health disorders such as treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. And we have created a clinic-based business model through partnerships to provide an immediate relief for patients, and at the same time to generate a revenue stream to support our ongoing R&D efforts. But I'm going to share more about each one of these business in a few moments. So let me just start with our highlights, and what really makes us different is the depth of our scientific expertise and the fact that we have decades of hands-on experience in psychiatry, neurology, neuroscience, and neuropsychopharmacology. Starting to introduce our co-founder and chairman, Professor Steinman. Professor Steinman is a professor at Stanford, is the chair of the immunology department, and he has a very successful entrepreneurial career. He has co-founded Neurocrine, Center Core, two other immuno-oncology business, and he has been successful in bringing drugs to the market. In his lab, natalizumab, Tysabri, was discovered and sold to Biogen, who created a multi-billion-dollar company for the treatment of MS. So he has knowledge on how to lead and develop treatments for brain disorders. I've introduced myself, also dedicated my life to research, and I have an extensive expertise in the field of psychopharmacology. And our CEO, Dr. Yassin Bendibala, he has a PhD from UCL in medicinal chemistry, and he'll be helping us to develop and synthesize our novel drug candidates. We have a large market opportunity here that is growing. The number of people facing mental health disorder is skyrocketing. Our clinic-based business model, both in the US and the UK, will allow us to enjoy capital-light infrastructure and providing immediate access to patients. And we're also going to have room to expand into new markets with the platform we created. And finally, we are going to create a diversified revenue stream that will support our R&D efforts, which are our primary focus. So let me just start by discussing the size of the mental health epidemic today, and this will give you an idea of the magnitude of the problem that we are trying to resolve. So in short, a quarter of the world population is suffering at this moment from any sort of mental health issue, and this is not only devastating for the individuals, but also for the society, the families, and the friends. And we expect that in a couple of years, approximately $19 billion will be spent annually on treatment for these disorders, treatment that for the most are not working. And the reason for this increase in how much we are spending with these treatments is because the number of cases of depression and anxiety are skyrocketing, and only in the past decade it has increased over 30%. So we definitely need to find new drugs to help this population. Furthermore, because only a minority of patients actually receive some sort of adequate treatment, such as psychotherapy or any type of antidepressant medication. This means that there is a large percentage of patient population that is either being untreated or doesn't have access to these drugs. And even on those patients who are offered medication, 1 in 3 will eventually stop taking them. The reason for taking them is because current treatments for psychiatric disorders have low success rates over the long term, and they have numerous side effects. And these leave physicians and patients struggling to find any sort of relief. Unfortunately, if you look to the treatment landscape, we've been using the same type of medication over the past 30 years, treatments that target the same pathways, the same neurotransmitters in the brain, and they all share a very similar mechanism of action. So we need innovation in this space, and at Pasithea we aim to change this by creating novel drugs with new mechanism of actions and hopefully better efficacy rates. So let me just guide you towards our drug development path. We are still on our early stage. We are focusing on what we call a moonshot approach, targeting new mechanism of actions, not just creating me-too drugs. And this is one of our true differentiators. Our understanding of drug design and discovery, and this is being led by Professor Steinman and Dr. Yassin Bendibala, are trying to create new drugs. We have just entered the agreement with Biotech. We're synthesizing a novel drug that is targeting, is aiming for a target into neuroinflammatory pathways for the treatment of depression and schizophrenia, and we aiming to have the first composition of matter in the first semester of 2022. Our secondary focus is to provide treatments with ketamine for patients who suffer from mental health disorders such as treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. And we have entered clinical partnerships both in the UK and the US to administer ketamine to patients who qualify. So ketamine is an FDA-approved drug and is one of the most commonly used drugs in the world, but only recently it has been repurposed for the treatment of mental health disorders. Unfortunately, ketamine is not easy to administer. It cannot be given in a pill form. It's normally given in all protocols through an IV infusion, but it's definitely a remarkable drug. For example, in treatment-resistant depression, it has shown approximately 75% efficacy in addressing this disorder. And remember that these are patients for whom antidepressant drugs have already failed. So as a psychiatrist, we feel that we owe this to our patients to give them access to this treatment until we can develop something better. And through our partnerships of existing network of clinics and capabilities, we're going to be able to distribute ketamine faster and to a larger population of patients. And at the same time, we're going to receive an attractive revenue stream with promising expansion opportunities. So let me guide you to our two markets that we are targeting, and I'm going to start with the UK market. Into UK market, we have partnered with Zen Healthcare to administer ketamine in their clinics. Zen Healthcare is a network of clinics that are present in the most affluent areas of London, such as Knightsbridge, Baker Street, and Marylebone. They have treated thousands of patients over the past years. They function as a conventional clinic with multiple specialties within, but importantly, they have a pharmacy license, so they are able to use scheduled drugs such as ketamine. We have an agreement with Zen Healthcare, and we are going to use a deal structure with Pasithea receiving a 30% share of the revenue going forward. What is really interesting is that the UK market is untapped. So at the moment, there's only 2 other clinics offering this type of treatments, one within the National Health Service and the other one that is located in Bristol. So we are going to be the first players in all of London to administer ketamine to patients who need it. And we are partnering with large networks of psychiatrists and starting our marketing campaign into UK. In the US, we have structured a way in a very unique way to deliver ketamine to patients who need it. We have teamed up with a leading operator of mobile clinics that is called Ivy-Doc to bring these patients, to bring this treatment directly into people's homes. So we are going to be the first players in the US market to administer ketamine at the patient's house. The way we're going to operate is patients are going to be assessed by one of our psychiatrists who is going to act as a gatekeeper and provide eligibility. And then we're going to pass, if the patient is considered eligible, his information is going to be passed to our network of infusion specialists, mainly anesthesiologists, who are then going to be able to go to the patient's house with a nurse and administer this treatment at the patient's house. So this will remove not only the burden of having to travel to a clinic, but also it removes the difficulty for a lot of these patients who are suffering from depression with symptoms such as social isolation, lack of motivation, lethargy, lack of energy, or patients with PTSD who going out of home can trigger a flashback or an acute anxiety response. We're going to be able to help these patients by going to their house. And this will allow us to operate in a very Uber-like and capital-light way. So we're going to be able to enter markets in a very fast way and be present in the largest urban centers. We are going to start to operate from 2 locations, first in New York City and LA, and then we have the ambition to expand nationwide. We have a deal structure with Ivy-Doc where we pay a fixed monthly fee independent of the number of patients that we see, and we're going to leverage on the existing infrastructure of Ivy-Doc. Ivy-Doc is currently present in over 30 cities. They have a network of over 800 nurses, and we're going to be able to leverage on their knowledge of how to operate mobile clinics, and they're going to provide us all the infrastructure to be able to run this operation in a very efficient and capital-light way. If you look to other companies in this space and at this stage, you're going to see that they all have raised a lot of money and achieved lofty valuation. But we believe that we stand in a very unique point in this ecosystem. First, because we have a deep understanding of drug design and drug discovery, and we aim to leverage on Professor Steinman's early success in the field. He has gone through this process several times and created multi-billion-dollar companies. And this is definitely our crown jewel asset, our drug discovery campaign, where we have the potential to generate IP and create value. But at the same time, we're going to be generating revenues from our mobile clinics, providing a consistent and stable revenue stream. If you look to the ecosystem, either companies don't have a revenue stream or they don't have the ability to create IP. And many of these companies in the mental health space, they are going after psychedelics, sharing the same mechanism of action, but the majority of psychedelics are natural products, so they cannot be patented. They become a commodity. So there's no room to create IP here. So just to recap, we are a science-first biotech company with a primary goal to improve the lives of those impacted by mental illness. And we have designed this two-pronged business model that will provide a diversified revenue stream with significant revenue and growth potential. We are aggressively moving forward with our innovative drug discovery efforts. And second, our clinical partnerships delivering ketamine treatments are going to operate in a very capital-light way and going to be able to generate revenues very fast. So we have just recently concluded our IPO at NASDAQ. We raised $24 million, and we are now moving fast towards starting our operations. So just to give you here the roadmap for the next few months, we have signed our contract with Evotec to start synthesize our first drug, and we hope to have composition of matter and then file for a patent by the end of the first semester of 2022. As I mentioned before, we are going after the neuroinflammation space, targeting a novel mechanism of action. We are next week, in a week time, we are opening our first clinic in London, in Knightsbridge, and by the end of this month, we're going to start operating our mobile clinics in Manhattan, as well in some cities in the California state, such as LA and San Francisco. By mid-November, we're going to continue to expand our operations, our at-home ketamine treatments in other cities in California, and opening as well in Illinois. And by early December, we are opening our second clinic in London, in Marylebone. By the end of the year and beginning of the first quarter of 2022, we are going to continue our expansion into US market by opening in cities in Texas and Florida, such as Miami and Austin and Dallas. So I must conclude by thanking for your time and for your attention today, and I hope that you share my enthusiasm for Pasithea Therapeutics as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, Tiago, question of the two markets, the UK market and the US market, is there one that you're more excited about than the other?
Yes, we are more excited with US market for several reasons. First, we have a better, with our partnership with IvyDoc, we have room to expand nationwide very fast. We are going to be able to, because we are not located in clinic, we don't have fixed costs with clinics, we are going to be able to enter or exit a market in a very easy way. And we're going to be able to open markets in a very fast way. We are actually recruiting and onboarding infusion providers such as anesthesiology in a very fast pace all over the US. And of course, the size of the US market is much larger. The beauty of the UK is that we're going to be the first players in all of London, so that will allow us a room to grow in that market as well.
That would make sense. U.S. market is much larger, so that would make sense. All right, Dr. Tiago Reis Marques, he's the CEO of Pasithea, ticker KTTA on the NASDAQ. Tiago, thank you so much for coming on today, the Benzinga Small Cap Healthcare Conference.